Welcome back, everybody, to the European LCS, where Stress and I are joined by Chris Steenkoeks-Lauwersen, who just came off a victory, 2-0. And that means 2-0 actually in series on the week as well, which must be a relief for you guys, I can imagine.
Yeah, like coming into the week against the Misfits, before we had the Misfits game where we got really stomped, so we were a bit worried about this week actually, or I was. I'm just really happy that we managed to get the 2-0. It's really important for our group and to get to playoffs, and then we have some time to work on what's going wrong at the moment. To
recalibrate, indeed. So that's very good for you guys. And then now we're going to dive into our final matchup of the week, Origen versus Fnatic. Origen at the bottom of the table in their group. Last week, they had a tall order in playing versus G2, so nobody really expected them to win that matchup.
The problem is, though, now we're running out of matchups, so you can even talk about are potentially winnable for Origen. There are just so many problems that litter their early game and everything that it becomes difficult to say, okay, well, what matchup can they actually win? Obviously, you have to look towards Origen Rocket later on down the line. We just saw Splice take Rocket apart in game 2. So Origen, they've got a lot still to work on, and I don't think it's fixed for this game.
And not fixed for this game, as they are up versus Fnatic. You guys, of course, only narrowly won versus Fnatic. I think that's fair to say 2 days ago.
Yeah, I mean, the first game we got really stomped, and the two last games were long games. I mean, I think they played really different from playing with Broxah than Amazing in the past. And Broxah, he was a good Lee Sin player. He was styling on me a bit when I played LeBlanc. I was being a bit greedy, but...
Do you think there's things to Broxah outside of his flashy Lee Sin play?
Like, I think he's just, in general, like, more mechanically better than Amazing. I think Amazing has way more experience, though, so it's something that a coach, like, has to work on. And as far as I know, they have a lot of coaching staff. So it seems like they've worked on it a bit, but I still think their late game is like really shaky, but their early game is pretty good.
And that's, I think, one of the downsides of Broxah is he's had this great impact in teams, whether it's Fnatic Academy or the main Fnatic lineup, where he's looked very strong on Lee Sin, on these early game junglers in the beginning, where he can get leads, and it doesn't matter whether the team are effective in the late game if the game's already shut out. And that's why he and Caps have worked fairly well together. But one of the things that has kind of made it more difficult for Fnatic, kind of drafting issues, putting Caps on like Malzahar and these different weird priorities that Fnatic have been showing us.
What do you think of Malzahar right now in the mid lane and Fnatic's choice to put Caps on it?
Picking Malzahar against the Void King is pretty doomed. So I think Malzahar is really used his mid at the moment. Like he doesn't bring that much damage as he used to do, and now that his Voidlings got nerfed as well, like you can't, like when you play against the Blanc, like you can't even put the Voidlings before she will already be out and she will jump back. So I think in general the pick is really useless and it doesn't really scale that well anyways. So in general, that game where we played, we just kind of waited for late game and it wasn't that hard to end it. It's
also interesting, or I want to say a bit mind-boggling, because we saw that Fnatic in the first week, they were like, yep, we're going to give you those strong champions where you can dominate the lane if you get ahead, you can get a Katarina, you can have the Syndra, for instance, and then all of a sudden they put him on Malzahar. So do you think, if you're a mid player, if you're Caps and would you want kind of a more one-sided approach and be like, okay, we're focusing on these 3 champions, that's what you're going to do, instead of and a Camille mid, and a Malzahar, and this one, and this one?
I'm not, like, I think most mid laners nowadays, they play like a lot of champions. It's not like Scarrow back in the days that used to play like 3 champions that could get banned out by that. I think in general, maybe they, like as far as I could see it, it's maybe more about they want to play around other lanes instead, and they want to focus on not only playing around mid lane, because it's really obvious kind of in the playstyle right now that they only want to make sure that Caps snowballs and carries the game. And like I think maybe that's why I could see that's why they would pick Malzahar, maybe look to focus a bit more on top and bot.
And it feels like it's Caps versus the world in the majority of games that Fnatic play. Sometimes Soaz will have a great game and they'll put a lot on Soaz. We saw that in the series against you guys. But honestly, Caps, there's been a lot riding on his shoulders recently. And sometimes he's that player where in week 1 he's outplaying Perks, getting the flashy kills. But the actual consistency isn't there yet for Caps as a mid laner. He's got great potential and good mechanics, micro plays, but I don't see him as a player that you can completely build a team around every single game.
Not every single game versus Nehun on OG. This should be the game that he would be able to build on. So you guys, quick predictions. I hear a lot of Fnatic here. It'd be very difficult for Origen, Steenkoeks.
I think it's going to be a pretty quick tool.
All right.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Origen took a game here.
We will see what happens and if we get anything new out of Broxah as we head into picks and bans for game 1 between Fnatic and Origen.
Thank you, Shocks. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Krepo is with me to bring you this best of 3, and honestly, I'm excited to see how this works.
I like that guy. Recognize.
All right, we got one Crepo fan. That's good. That's a start. You're building up, you know.
Building the
A lot of
audience.
people don't know who you are. We're just got to get your name out
That's
there. You
good.
know, I'll help you out, buddy.
Thank you
I'll help
so
you
much
out.
there, Dracos.
All right. Well, let's just take a chance to get right into this matchup, and let's start with the rosters. Looking at Fnatic, who are on the red side of the Rift for Game 1. In the top lane, it's going to be Soaz, jungle, Broxa, mid lane, Caps, 80 carry Reckless, support Jesus, and of course, Coach Nico the Pico.
Yeah, Fnatic looking for a statement game. We've made that comment about a lot of these matchups here, but they really need a clean 2-0 versus Origen. They need to refine a lot of their gameplay, but it's definitely possible because the Origen roster just has been struggling.
Yeah, and let's take now a chance to look at that roster. They get the blue side for Game 1, and that is a pretty big boon. But in the top lane, it is going to be Sidorius. In the jungle, Wisdom. Mid lane, Nahyun. 80 carry Tab, support Hiva, and Coach Leduc.
Yeah, the players are kind of loading into lobby right now, trying to get ready as soon as we can here. There's a small mouse issue that we're kind of solving. And hopefully it fixes a lot for Origen. I think they may have had some mouse issues in the past. No, that's too harsh.
Yeah,
That's too
that's
harsh.
too
These guys
harsh,
are struggling.
too harsh.
I hope that they have their spirits held up high because it is so hard to kind of load up after every single defeat. It feels like you're falling further down the pit if you're that Origen lineup because nothing seems to be working for them.
Yeah, they've experimented, and it's just, they never find a way to come out on top, and it's so absolutely brutal to watch. 10 losses, you know, zero wins, like
Yeah.
not finding anything, not finding a single opportunity to come back. For them to even find a game against Fnatic would be a massive statement.
And that's why we want to see something else from them. Okay, Origen, it is now week 5. We're nearing the end. You've tried to kind of mimic the gameplay that is defined as meta, that is like what you're supposed to do. But I think it's better for Origen if they just look at it completely different. Play full on solo queue, full on cheese, win by 10 minutes or lose by 10 minutes, and just try and surprise your opponents. Because conventionally, if you have to catch up to somebody who's that far ahead of you, you need to work twice as hard or have twice as much time. And I don't think Origen has either, because all these teams are kind of pushing the boundaries, and it seems very hard for them to find the progression.
And I'd be excited to see something like that. I want to see new picks experimented with, new strategies. As you said, full solo queue, full aggressive. I don't know if it's going to be what they opt for, but we're halfway point now. You said we're getting closer and closer to the end of the season. You're fighting to stay out of relegation right now. And it's hard to label a team like that only halfway through the split, but we haven't seen anything from Origen to prove us otherwise.
And it could be a good test here for Fnatic as well, because Nico the Pico, their coach, came under kind of public scrutiny. A lot of the fans were legit just calling for his head. It's like, these picks and bans are bad, the coach must go. And we don't know how they come to be. Ultimately, picks and bans is the responsibility from the coach, because either he does them, in my opinion, or he lets his player do them, and if they're bad, then you're still responsible for allowing your players to pick these champions. So the responsibility always lies on the coach, but it can't be denied that there was some questionable drafting from Fnatic in the past. And if Origen maybe take that approach of kind of giving them a curveball, Nico can get tested here on the Rift.
It would be good to see something, maybe not something more standard, but something more powerful, something more traditionally powerful, and less risks, I'll say. Because we saw the Malzahar come out, and when it's support Malzahar that you have to build a QSS against, that feels bad. You don't want to put that much money into denying a support. But when you build a QSS to shut down a mid lane Malzahar entirely, I think you're just fine with that investment.
Definitely, and also I think they just, in that particular case, they tunneled on the flex. They're like, we're going to surprise them by swapping Malzahar to mid and then getting an advantage bot lane. But Fnatic have shown that the games that they play so well is when they put high priority on mid lane, high priority on the top lane, and they play a relatively passive bot lane. As well as if you make a pick like Malzahar, who is kind of reactive and so scaling and has kind of one shot in a team fight, that is not what Caps wants to do. I think Caps thrives in chaos. He thrives in high activity moments where he can just jump into fights, out of fights. Like a Zed sounds to me like a perfect Caps pick. Yes, it's not meta, but I'd like to see picks with more agency for Caps to influence the game.
Well, especially if you're going to be picking something off meta. You might as well pick something off meta, or Zed obviously loosely in meta right now, but you might as well pick something less conventional that fits into his wheelhouse. Like you said, he likes to play on the razor's edge. He said it himself, the quote-unquote edge of perfection, right? Where it comes down to you dodging their skill shots, them trying to dodge yours, and you put everything on the line in those instances. And you're not dodging anything when you're playing a Malzahar. It's not a pick that gives you that agency. And I liked it when we first saw Fnatic come out and they were building around this rookie new player, and I just want to see something like that consistently. Figure out what you want his role to be and kind of hammer that in.
Yeah, we're swapping out a mouse now, just to for the guys at home who are anxiously waiting for this game to explode. New mouse has been swapped in. Hopefully that one works, because obviously we want these players to have the best tools to carry these games.
Gotta give him a chance, you know.
It's hard to play with a bad mouse.
It's hard. It's hard to play mouse. I've played League on a touchpad before. That was a nightmare.
Once in my days I had a mouse issues, but my team never believed me. They always thought I was a hypochondriac. And granted, I was most of the time, and I know many people at home are like, oh, another Kreppel story. But we're in a pause, so turns out I had an issue, but it was really hard to prove. So like you gotta believe in yourself. When you have a mouse issue, and that's what's keeping you from potentially becoming Diamond 1, Challenger, Master, just believe that it could be there, right? Don't let other people tell you that it's because you're face checking, you're not warding. It could just be your mouse.
Kreppel, remind me never to let you coach anybody ever.
Yeah.
Guys,
Forget
forget your responsibility.
You're playing team of support here.
Peripheral companies.
Yes.
That's who you need to go after. You're the reason you're not Challenger. But of course, guys, we are very close to getting into picks and bans here. Turns out
Issue is resolved.
Yep. Has been resolved, so.
They told you that as well?
They did. I wanted to make a joke about peripheral companies. I'm sorry, audience. I cost you notifications.
Nope. Look at him.
Oh. They're
Getting
there.
loose, getting ready for that champ select.
You can hear the music. And that's our
It's
cue,
coming.
ladies and gentlemen. Champion select. The teams will part. We'll zoom out a little bit. Everything starting to happen. Of course, Rise, the first pick taken away. We saw Caps in game 1 and 3 against their series of Splice. A lot of agency for him on that pick. Exactly what we'd like to see him get his hands on him in Origin. Smart enough to ban it away and not give him the opportunity.
Yeah, I like the ban right there. I think it's smart. Blue side just gives you so much kind of control over what you want to happen. Now, Fnatic can throw them a curveball. We've seen teams ban out just the Rengar and then trade some other picks. But I think versus Origin, you probably just ban the OPs. And if you leave anything open, it's Camille, because they have hesitated to play it. And when I think they played it maybe once and just didn't play it that well. And that's why they're banning it out on blue side now themselves.
We've seen a lot of blue side bans come in for Origin. Ban phase 1, 7 bans going on to that despite getting blue side in some of their games. So definitely pretty much the only team to consistently ban Camille out on blue side. Kind of revealing that they're not comfortable, but I don't think it's going to cost them too much to have that ban burned away. But it does give Fnatic the option to ban the Evelynn.
That's very interesting. This is probably a scouting thing they've done. Basically looking at Wisdom and solo queue. There's been a bit of a resurgence for Evelynn. It also kind of changes the way you approach the game, because you can't use your normal warding patterns that you use versus practically any jungler versus Evelynn. So I think this is Fnatic preempting the cheese, knowing that they're okay with leaving Varus open and playing maybe the Jhin into it, or just digging deeper into Reckless's unique champion pool.
Far is fine to go through. We'll see what Soaz wants to get his hands on, but good that you bring up the Evelynn. You know, you don't want to play against something unconventional. You want to limit the Origin's ability to surprise you, and especially with Broxa being a younger guy on the lineup, you don't want to have to make him play a matchup that he is not going to be comfortable
That's
with.
always what you want to do if you're the better team in a best-of series. You want to limit variance and obviously get a larger sample size. That's like the better team is more likely to win the longer the series goes. And if you can limit variance in terms of champion picks, you have more chances to prove that.
Definitely something that we have seen. Now, of course, Jhin and Rumble locked in. This is a combo that we've seen rising in popularity once again. Not necessarily what we normally consider pick tools, given that it's very often the ults used in conjunction, but it's been so effective in kind of taking out members who are slightly out of position.
Yeah, but we've seen this Jace finally come in. It's so often banned on maybe a last ban on purple side, or usually just a blue side ban. So we need to see if Origen can surprise with it, because it's a very snowball pick. It is still a flex, so it can go top and mid. So that's maybe why Origen should be better off picking their jungler or their support here to really keep that flex opportunity alive.
Interesting, they take their time. Graves is finally going to be the lock-in. Graves rising up the tier list in terms of jungle popularity.
Welcome to League of Lethality.
Edge of Night, ladies and gentlemen. Edge of Night. Everybody excited about that item? You've played against it. You've seen people build it. It's frustrating.
Yeah, and if you look at Origin, 3 marksmen, and usually the main counter to that is armor, but you just can't stack enough for it to matter. All these guys deal tons of damage.
Ooh, that's new. Nidalee going to get locked in. We have seen a bit of Nidalee jungle, but had fallen down in terms of popularity. Now picked up once again in the hands of Broxa. We've seen the Lee Sin from him. We've seen the Ivern, but this is something new.
Yeah, I'm not going to judge it just yet, but Broxa tunneled very heavily on this Lee Sin pick overall. It seems very much so a comfort choice over a stylistic team comp choice in multiple draft situations. Now he goes for the Nidalee. Begs the question, can he play the super meta? Is this the answer? But I like how Graves has kind of crept back, because initially Graves wasn't played at all. Then Graves was played into Ivern, and then people figured out, hey, this Graves pick's actually pretty good.
He actually just kills everybody,
Yep.
not just the giant tree man.
And I want to see more of the combos, because you can animation cancel on the ulti. I usually call it the Dardock combo, because that's where I discovered it first from watching him do it. But it's very fun to watch. Now with the practice tool available, you can actually practice it, and you can animation cancel in multiple different directions should you ever want to. So it's very interesting and cool mechanic, especially for a spike on 6
I
on
hope
bot gank.
I hope we see it so we can run through it, explain the mechanics.
Yeah.
But if not, you guys can find it on YouTube. Really cool mechanics for Graves. Nidalee, a champion, once again, we haven't seen as much of, but now with both junglers locked in, with both top laners theoretically locked in, we're seeing some pinches come out. Now mid lane pinch on the side of Origen,
Yeah.
and top and a support taken away on the side of Fnatic.
Basically, Fnatic saying like, we're gonna remove easy mode. We're not gonna give you the easiest top lane champion to play in Maokai. We're not gonna give you the easiest support to play currently in Karma. Because with Zyra becoming not as strong due to the nerfs, and Malzahar actually almost completely falling off due to the Voidling changes, Karma is really easy to have a high impact on, especially if you compare that with Varus, who is already the pristine poke champion in the bot lane. Karma Varus will outpoke, outsiege, and just kind of win any bot lane matchup.
Not looking to give away anything easy. I like that strategy. Once again, limiting variance. The goal of Fnatic, coming in, looking for the quick 2-0, the clean 2-0.
Satori's like, you try to remove easy mode? I will just play Nautilus instead.
Yeah. You think I can't point and click? I will point and click.
Dare me.
Zyra is going to be the lock-in, so Malzahar may have fallen off. Zyra's still powerful, but once again, the changes to that plant AI make her a little bit more difficult to execute.
More difficult, but she's still as strong in pushing lanes, because when there's no minions around, the plants are still going to hit the champions, right? And with Varus Zyra, you will be perma-pushing, or you should be at least. So we need to see what Jesus is going to pull out the bag of tricks to see if they can confirm that they are still the top 2 strongest laners in Europe here, Jesus and Reckless, because they felt that way for the longest time.
Yeah, talked about being a lane-focused duo. Have to see if they can just come out on top in the laning phase, find a big advantage for themselves, as they do spend a lot of time together in the early game. But Fnatic taking their time on this support pick, really trying to figure out how to mitigate the impact of this Origen.
But you need to take that statement with a grain of salt, because you always need to factor in matchups. And in this matchup, if a melee support gets locked in, a win for Fnatic is actually going even.
Well, it will be the melee support in the end. Braum locked in, one that we've seen rising in popularity. Once again, the support meta seems to be the biggest change consistently across these games.
I mean, it also helps that you get somebody who can actually take some damage. If you look at the Fnatic roster, this was traditionally one of the bigger weaknesses of Nidalee jungle, is she doesn't soak up any tankiness. With Rumble locked in already, like, being sole tank Braum versus this lineup is actually really hard to play. So we'll need to see what Jesus can do with this pick. If he ever falls behind, he will just become fodder for the front line.
There's just too much lethality. 3 80 carries on the side of Origen, a tank, a Zyra to back them up. Fnatic, they're playing with a little bit of more of a variety of pieces. Rumble in the top lane for Soaz, always good to see him on it. The Nidalee, the big mix-up there. And I mean, how does this early game comp play out for, how does the early game play out for this Fnatic composition? Because the Nidalee is kind of a huge surprise for me.
Yeah, it's just, I wonder what Nidalee's place is in the current meta. She used to just be a very fast clearer who can then start influencing the enemy jungler and really shut him down, but kind of Graves has a very sustained clear as well. I think a lot of us will be wondering how good can Nidalee actually be. And I think for that we need to track how she matches up in the jungle matchup against this Graves on the other side.
And clear speed is often kind of the big factor there. Can you keep up with Graves, one of the fastest clears in the game, alongside Ivern? And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still the case with all the nerfs.
Because then we need to look at ganks, right? She has some damage, but Nidalee historically has been a very poor ganker, unless they're set up. But there's not much setup from Soaz. There's some setup from Caps, but then still Nehun should be able to fight his way out. So it's going to be very hard for Boxat to leave his mark here. So definitely very interested to see if he can do it on a different champion.
Yeah, we've seen Lee Sin. We've seen the success. We're going to have to see if the Nidalee will be as well, because it's game 1. Origen on the blue side, Fnatic on the red. And it may just all come down to the early game. And one thing that I think that we've seen a lot of in Europe is I don't know if it's the meta or if it's drafting style, but there's so many compositions that really lack when it comes to hard CC.
Yeah, you can play the pressure game. I mean, 1-3-1 usually lacks in hard CC, because if you want to be a better individual duelist, it's because you have more threatening damage, which you then trade off for CC, right? Because you can't be a champion that has the most damage and the most crowd control effect, because people will just pick it all the time.
Pre-nerf Nautilus, you had everything. You had the dream, but
you still eventually fell off at one point, right?
It's true. Good old OP Riptide. Less strong now, but still powerful. Satorius, I think, may just struggle on the top side. Nautilus has, a lot of push pressure, but no one really compares to Rumble when it comes to early game.
All right, so they're setting up for the 112, 120 ward on the enemy jungle. Just for information, it helps you really predict clear paths, especially for non-ganking junglers who like to power farm and clear through the entire jungle. I wonder if this is also a reaction to maybe Graves being one of the junglers that can do smiteless. We've seen junglers like Drake like to hide their jungle pathing by just doing a smiteless start, and on sustained junglers that works very well. But right now, Fnatic's actually going to leash Cole. This is major strain on Jesus and Reckless here, because they're playing in bot lane matchups that's already disadvantaged and leashing at the same time.
Well, and Zyra, too, is the champion that we know that you can't let her walk up in the lane, that the plants start getting laid down.
Yes and no, but that was happening anyways. Like, there's no way for you to contest that early on. It all depends on how hard Origen is pushing in. If they push more than a single creep ahead, which they're actually doing, they're actually going to make it very easy for Reckless and Judges to at least somewhat catch up. Because look, there's actually no creeps being denied here because they overpushed their first wave. This is all slowly walking towards Reckless, who can then farm with Q bounces. He'll take poke, but he's obviously playing with 3 potions. Caps.
Oh, Caps taking a lot of damage from Nahyun. Nice early spike on the level 2 for Jace.
Yeah, he got the first minion of the second wave much faster than Caps, and then used that time to zone off Caps from the rest of the wave. Caps now trying to catch up.
Yeah, good life trade overall. Jace, of course, with the 3 pots does make it relatively easy to just kind of stay sustained, kind of succeed in this lane. Has opted for the Storm Raider Surge as well, so just wants to burst, get in, and get out.
And they knew where Wisdom started. They knew it was smiteless. Now Soas is walking up and trying to steal this. This was extremely close, by the way. Wisdom, no smite. I really like this adaptation. It gets punished really hard. Imagine if Satorius actually came down much earlier. So this is communication error. Satorius could have already been in the river here, really punishing Soas. This was a high-risk, high-reward play here from the Soas, from the Fnatic top laner, rather.
Yeah, Soas taking the blue buff away from the Graves slows down the clear speed, makes it so difficult for him to do anything.
Just loses so much experience.
Yeah, Soas, I'll take a free level up. Thank you, Graves. Happy to have it.
That's actually really bold to do there, and it's so risky because Satorius could have just walked into the river and really messed with him.
But I like the adaptation, knowing that Graves uses the smite earlier, or assuming that he's going to use the smite earlier, banking on the smite timing. I mean, that is a very... You need to have a lot of knowledge of how junglers are going to clear to pull off a play like that. However, Krepo, I think this is what we were talking about when it came in the Champion Select. The double-ranged Varus plus anybody lane, and just the sheer amount of poke.
And the ability to farm under turret well highlights the amount of synergy in a bot lane. We saw Jesus right there walk up with his shield, basically taking aggro and zoning for Reckless. But Reckless wasn't walking up for CS, so in essence, that was wasted zoning, because it actually didn't accomplish anything. And you really need to be on point as a unit to decide which CS you want to drop and which one you want to trade health for. Because that's what you're doing. For every CS you take, you will lose some health overall.
Yeah, maybe a misstep there coming in from the team. Not really what we want to see from this early bot lane. And as you said, winning is going even. So giving up that health is probably worth it for this Fnatic side.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. It all depends if you just lose it all in the end and you get outpoked. So if you can bounce the wave then and then push out, this is the timing where ideally Fnatic push out the wave and reset. And they're actually doing that. So that's why they're aggressively contesting this wave here. And Origen, I feel like they're yielding very hard.
Reckless, taking a bit of poke.
He doesn't care. All he wants is the wave kind of pushed in. Origen should freeze here and maybe hand it off.
Or keep auto-attacking it. Not quite clear on what they want to do. Broxah caught out by Wisdom.
Yeah, they're getting punished by the brush camp right now. But Fnatic can actually make major stripes and bounce because like now they're looking to clear the wave with full spells.
Oh, Hiva's gone too far forward. 2 stacks, 3 concussive blows. Procs the chain. CC comes in. They're going to pop off. First blood for Reckless.
Now we have to explain this all together how it works. So the premise is that you want to base as Jhin at around 25 CS or higher so you can get the serrated Dirk, right? That's why Fnatic were aggressively pushing out. Now, Fnatic, they used kind of all their ammunition on that first push, and they knew if they kept dueling Origen bot lane straight up, they would lose. So they gave Origen the possibility to freeze, and that's where you should take it. Instead, Origen decided to counter push. They thought Fnatic had based, because Fnatic wasn't fine going in lane anyway, and they used all their abilities on the wave. That is like the most rookie bot lane mistake you cannot afford to make. Yes, it speeds up the clear and it allows you to manage base timings very well and gives you a minor lead if it works, but if they're camping, you are so screwed.
All what you want. Once again, mind games. Fnatic one step ahead, and OG taking unnecessary risks here on the bottom side. First Blood gets to come back with Swifties and a serrated Dirk. That's going to make this lane so easy.
It's so much easier right now. Fnatic, their bot lane has survived, but if you look at what Origen should have done, freeze it with Hiva. Send taps to base. He also gets his serrated Dirk. Hiva carries the wave in front of the turret. Then Hiva bases and tabs, he can farm on the turret. It's not like Jhin Braum is just going to easily dive you if you're somewhat smart, right? That way you get a 10 CS lead and you don't run into the risk that you did right there. The main mistake was already made, letting Fnatic actually challenge that push in the first place.
But now the little mistake starts to expand because Jesus has information laid down in the jungle. This will make it harder for Wisdom.
Yeah, he gets Sightstone.
back timing's a little bit better. He gets the early side zone, something we were critical of in the past, but he picks it up immediately this time around.
Nope, fixed. Very early side stone. He gets deep wards too because Fnatic pushed out of the way before they based. They get their cake, they eat it too. It's delicious. Hiva goes for Spell Thief's upgrade, which means his side stone is a full 800 gold delayed right now. And they have to basically struggle with this control ward. If they ever lose that, they're going to be under pressure again. And they need to make use of the damage, but I don't think they'll be pushing much here.
One lane that we didn't really talk about as much when it comes to Nidalee ganking is the bottom lane, because Rekkles and Jesus have pretty good setup here, and if Broxa can bring the damage to back them up.
And he does. He just made a push for Caps. The vision was laid out by Jesus. This is textbook roam play. Where's your damage now, Hiva? Is he going to help you?
Spotted out. Hiva's going to try to flash to safety. Broxa flashing forward, looking to get the takedown. Locked up. He's set to fall. Caps is going to grab it. Tabs. He's all on his lonesome. Jesus is going to tank. Oh, no, that's dirty. Fnatic grab another one.
And now, because they're both dead, they can start hitting the turret. Nobody's here. There wasn't a teleport match because Sartorius, maybe he could have defended, but he didn't know what was going on until it was already too late. Soaz teleported in, not to help there because he was stealing an assist, but just in case they missed Sartorius' teleport somewhere, because they will always win the race for turret here. And this is a good macro play, good map play by Fnatic, and it all literally started with the decision of Tabs and Hiva not to freeze on a 4 creep advantage.
Everything resulting from these small advantages, and just a beautiful play from Fnatic. As you said, textbook, but so clean in the execution.
Yeah, and this is because Broxa realizes that he doesn't need to gank. If you can push out with your mid laner and you can move them to a lane that's pushing, you can dive. But if you look at the champ select here, in what world should we expect Jesus and Rekkles pre-6 to push in Varus Zyra? Right?
Just shouldn't happen.
Shouldn't happen.
We talk about it, range supports. They should dominate the lane, but I mean, I guess it's all it takes is one mistake, a little bit extra health for that support so he can tank your burst, and suddenly you're not a scary Zyra anymore. You're that squishy, vulnerable Zyra waiting all alone in that bottom lane.
Yep. You're the
Set up
Zyra
to
on
die.
my team, not the enemy team.
The classic.
The Yasuo effect.
Ah, exactly. Yasuo, Shaco, Darius Zed. I mean, we can list any of those champions.
All very nice people as well. I always have much pleasant conversation with these guys. Talking about very interesting things.
Well, looking at the top side of the map, one member that we were kind of questioning when it came to Fnatic overall was Soaz. Now, he's had a great performance so far this game, but he wasn't always the most...
Has he? There he goes.
He teleported down and helped with the kill. I mean, that's... Well, I don't know what else you do. As a
He
top laner,
teleported
Beppo.
down and he stole an assist. Great performance. No, Soaz, the reason we were looking at those stats there is not because it was good or bad. It's just Soaz wasn't participating much in the game for Fnatic. He didn't have that much jungle proximity. He had a really low kills and assists combined. And he was generally just even farming with his top laner. Basically, he was playing on an island. So Fnatic was not leveraging one of their kind of legacy players. And we were wondering, should they do it more? And we saw actually in the series at the start of the week where they play around Soaz and Caps. It's actually a really good tool for Fnatic.
And I like this a lot. And it's interesting, too, once again, this is another thing we want to see from Fnatic, more adaptation, and they've adapted this time. This time it's not about Soaz. This time it's about the bottom lane. And for Rekkles and Jesus to finally build an advantage is a good thing to see.
Yeah, and usually we see teams swapping up to the top side. But because they're so far ahead, they actually have massive kill pressure on this lineup. There is no side stone on Hiva still. Because again, he went for Relic upgrade. Like, don't do that when you're behind. Do it when you're an extremely smart player and you know exactly what you're doing. And you know that you only die to bad luck. Because then you can outplay. You can use the damage for an all-in. But when you play against a better team, just get sidestone, get vision. Help your team at least win, because now you're a burden. Hiva is a level 5 Zyra with no vision whatsoever. He kind of has to stick with his team.
Oh, Broxham has to be careful, has to back off. Wisdom just kills him.
Now they're going for the swap. Yeah, they're going for a blind swap with no vision in the jungle. That's just greedy Fnatic. I mean, give him some credit.
Oh, poor Broxa. A little overconfident there after some early plays. Wisdom happy to pick up that kill, and that means a little gold back for OG, but Fnatic still very much in the driver's seat, still set to control the pace.
And I love diving in the minds of the player and see, like, could they have predicted this, right? And then we look in the bot side jungler. There's quite some wards placed there, right, by Fnatic.
Oh. Graves still has ult.
Oh,
Caps,
Wisdom.
Flash forward, has collateral damage, goes wide. Nice dodge from Caps.
Yeah, really good sidestep right there. So that face tech technically was avoidable because they played on bot side of the map all the time. There was vision in jungle. They didn't see Wisdom. So Wisdom must be doing something, right? This guy's not AFK. So it was to be expected. Now the counter engage from Caps here. He goes wide. Soaz shows up all of a sudden.
Soaz hungry for blood. Exhaust comes out. Nathan potentially in trouble. Spear goes in. Deathfire touch.
Oh.
Equalizer. That'll burn him down.
Gotta flash that spear before it hits you. That's agreed. Again, a small mistake, but it comes at a great cost, because right now, Syndra and Italy could, for example, roam to the top side of the map. They can also get a free base, chunk this turret right here.
Fnatic completely controlling the early game. 3K gold lead, almost 12 minutes in. They got an Ocean Drake as well, so they have essentially unlimited mana and health in these lanes.
Hey, you can see Origen, they're doing some things right. Like there's a control ward hidden in the enemy jungle. They waited for a Phase X of Wisdom. He's playing well in this particular game. Sartorius, he's playing Nautilus, so he's doing okay. But now it's the bot side of the map falling apart. It's always some part for Origen that crumbles. Never can all 5 of these players really have a great early game, it seems.
Yeah, really rough to see because Fnatic are not a team to let them get away with that. Exploiting those weaknesses, punishing, and taking it to the next level. As this tower is set to fall.
Hang on, there's a teleport coming above Sartorius.
He's all alone. Depth charge goes in onto Broxah, locks up Reckless, can lock up Jesus as well. Trying to use the staggering blow, but Hiva's caught out. He's too low of a level. He's gonna get shot down and no one blocks. Reckless just throwing out shots left and right. One more to wait. Looking for a bit of poke. Lands with Sartorius. Fnatic looking for the setup, but all of OG is here. That's a beautiful engage. They're going to get Jesus. Can they get more? Throws out the collateral damage. Low health bars. Nakion, Wisdom, Sartorius backing off. Fnatic doing the same.
Again, overstepping. A little bit of hubris on the side of Fnatic. Good punish by Origen. I like the concept of leaving a deep ward in lane, teleporting in. Execution wasn't great. We see Hiva died with ulti up, flash up, and exhaust up. Generally, that means you misplayed. Even after that, I think that's actually what led to the confidence by Fnatic. Just how easy it was for them to kill Hiva right there. Just overextended in the end.
A little too greedy on the front lines now. Braum not behind, but still very vulnerable. The only tankier member of this team. And even then, only with Unbreakable up can he block any of this poke damage.
Right.
Things don't look down and out yet for Origen. They've got Serrated Jerks coming in, they've got the lethality, and they hit hard, as you just saw there from Reckless.
Yeah, and they're just hoping that the map stays small, that this literally becomes a 4v4, 5v5 all the time, and that they can somehow dodge more skill shots and hit more on the side of Fnatic. Hoping.
This is like traumatic flashbacks. Does everybody remember when Italy was in every single game?
And you know what we did? We changed it so you can actually sidestep every single spear that's thrown at you. There's a reason Sven said if you have a mouse, you do not get hit by Italy spears. Because they're incredibly easy to sidestep.
For some people. Others of us are not on a professional level and have a little bit of a harder time, but that is not the case for Tabs. Needs to sidestep, needs to dodge out here, can't afford to make sloppy mistakes like that because I mean, if we were any further in the game, that would have been an Italy jumping over a wall to one-shot him with a single combo.
Yeah, there in particular, it didn't impact it much. Right now, Fnatic making the map big again, which means they're visiting every lane, and because they're so far ahead in gold, it's usually to be expected that they can actually get the pressure advantage everywhere, and then they can get, again, they can create a numbers advantage, so they can have a very easy fight. That's exactly what they want to do.
Blue is now picked up by Caps. He's going to continue to remain dominant in the mid lane. You can see already about a 20 CS lead advantage, and the lane is even. So there's no extra creeps here for Nakion to pick up. No extra minions.
Yep. Good entry wards here. The weaker side of Fnatic is still the bot lane that will get pushed in now residing in the top lane, of course. So they put 2 control wards in the start of the jungle to make sure that Wisdom can't invade, so Broxah can at least comfortably and clear his jungle fast. He will now find the pink ward. Yes, he does.
That's been there for about 5-7 minutes.
That's the pink ward that got placed right after he died the first time, but because now he has entry vision in his jungle, at least he can know roughly where the Graves is, or more important, where he's not.
Short of a dash over that Rift Herald wall. No way for Wisdom to enter the jungle, so safety for Fnatic for now. And they're pretty much in control still, you know, really trying to force down this top lane tower, committing 3 members to do it, but OG not in a great position to respond.
Yeah, and Broxah is showing what we saw in the past very often from Nidalee. It's not so much you want to gank, but you want to help your jungler, your laners out and assist them in a way. If it's mid lane, you help them push out, or you siege and poke on a turret. And then you roam to the bot lane, and you siege with them. You give the heals and the buffs to Reckless, and then you just spear over, you help poke if you can land it somehow. And that's kind of what you want to do.
Yeah, slow, steady sieging coming out. Very similar to what we've seen from Ivern. A lot more damage to back it up.
Yeah, Fnatic right now, they were playing 3-1-1, but the bottom piece pushed up and moved to the mid lane, and that allows Caps to then move into the river to put pressure.
Well, this is a big opportunity because Sartorius doesn't have TP, so Fnatic have a guaranteed man advantage.
And they don't want to fight, they just do move the pressure. So they show Rumble mid, which then tells Origen, we are now playing 5 members on the top side of the map, please step away from this top lane turret. Tabs and Hiva know they can't contest, and by the time Soas is back here in the bottom side of the map, Reckless and Jesus now have free access to that turret.
Satorius and Soaz continue to duke it out, but Fnatic, as you said, free access. They're going to grab another turret. They extend the gold lead to 4K, only 16 minutes into the game, and Nation is just doing his best to get something back.
Yeah, now the reaction from Origen is obviously, can we get some pressure mid? Turns out that Caps is playing far enough back. He is wave clearing, so they resort to kind of the consolation prize, which is this Scout Drake.
Not at all what they'd want in this early game. Would be much happier with a Mountain or an Infernal, something that could carry them heavily into the late game, something that could give them more. But maybe the movement speed will help them respond to Fnatic, as we have to imagine they're going to continue to move around the map, continue to look to keep OG split up.
Yeah, Fnatic's dream play right now is, as you see it pinged out on the map, is basically a long-range QE from Caps into Deadly Flourish into the Curtain Call. That's what they're aiming for. Brox is lining up right now. OG's trying to catch Soaz. Soaz is playing passive because he knows his team is making a play in the mid lane to zone away from the minion wave to then get to the turret. That's why Brahm's jumping in front too. Just block the wave clear. The goal is not to kill. The goal is to get this turret.
Ah, nice follow-up on the spear. Hiva not enough time to dodge down on that one from the CC, but this is the slow, steady siege, and Braum may be weaker in lane, but he's happy to block all of that poke.
Yeah, Braum is a really good wave clear denier, especially if you play kind of comps where you spike early or you want to just deny like a Victor, for example. It's such a strong tool as a support to be able to just annihilate skill shots. Now, this is Origen looking for reaction. Top right, there's a teleport coming, but Soaz goes in.
Equalizer, Hiva not going to get locked down. Out comes the curtain call. Somebody's going to drop Hiva with the flash. Sidesteps, not going to connect. All 4 shots go wide.
Satorius in the back.
From Zyog. Reckless on the backside. Satorius running forward, but there's no one else there to back him up. Reckless isn't even scared. Has to flash, has to dodge. Runs face first into Soaz. Tabs over the wall. That's a good start. But the poke, there's no follow-up. Jesus finds the engage. Nothing going to happen here on the side of OG, and they drop 2.
Yeah, and again, in theory, this was an okay response. When the enemy team tries to display, overreaches mid, and then stays for the siege, you can force with a Nautilus teleport in the backline. The problem is these members were poked so low already. The play kind of happened a bit too late. Hiva, again, had no impact in this fight whatsoever. Tabs' ulti came out very late, so Origen, because they were so far behind, couldn't pull this play off. But it was the right answer thematically into what Fnatic was doing.
At the end of the day, I feel like OG are always so close to getting it right. Satorius has been TPing in the right area, but it's always early or a little bit late. And Tabs hits an ultimate on multiple people, but it's after there's no follow-up left for the team.
Yeah, they did the right play, but they're already so far behind. It put them farther in the dumpster, and now they borderline lost this game already. It is so hard for them to fight back.
And I feel like it's a story that we've been telling so much this year, but we can talk about that more after we take a look at this.
Yeah, because this is Fnatic pushing through on the turret and kind of punishing. And look where when Satorius arrives, it's far too late, right? Because also with the Edge of Night channel, he shouldn't be able to channel Edge of Night and have Youmu's and have a couple daggers in his inventory at like 18 minutes in the game. He shouldn't be this far ahead. Reckless right now is sitting on 4 kills in total.
Reckless, at the end of the day, just crushing in this game. And it was that small advantage in the lane, leads to so much more. And Edge of the Night has to be infuriating to play against this point because you don't have the luxury of burning CC or damage or anything on this spell shield. And it's up every time you want to fight.
Yep, very annoying item to play against. But Origen, they can't complain about it because they drafted 3 champions that would like to build it. They're just a bit behind.
Graves is getting the pieces, not going to have the luxury of stopping for the Youmu's, but will work towards that Edge of the Night with the pickaxe. Everyone else a bit of a ways out. However, I don't know if they have the time. They've got poke damage of their own, but there goes the combo. Equalizer, curtain call, that's going to be enough. Reckless now unstoppable. Health bars are low as they find some poke on the side, but Fnatic back away unscathed.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating, this combo. If you have any target with no flash and no innate gap closers, so that's kind of the Jace, the Varus, and the Zyra. Hang on.
Oh, shot blocked out. Jesus locked up in the front lines. Don't know if he's going to be able to find a way out of this one. Has to give his life. Nice pick from OG.
Yeah, really nice reaction here. Once all the abilities are used, obviously Fnatic significantly weaker. And again, Braum, frontline tank, he doesn't last long.
Did manage to block a bit of the damage, but this is OG's chance to build back a little bit of the gold that they've lost. Mitigating it down to 5K. Throwing some poke over the wall, but not a whole ton here.
And it's minor critique on Fnatic. It's overstepping. You get 1 kill. You need to know, can we get another fight off? No, because you just used all these tools. And it's really powerful because it is engage that can't backfire. You send out all these abilities at maximum range. You literally outrange Zyra to the point where you can one-shot her. But then obviously if you use all these tools, you need to reset the map, get control wards, and start aiming towards Nashor.
And one of the vulnerabilities of kind of opting for the Nidalee this time around is it's not the Lee Sin. It's not a tankier jungler that has more disengage options. If someone finds your way into the squishy backline that is Syndra, Jhin, and Nidalee, if you don't have enough damage to blow that person up immediately, which they may not in the face of Sartorius, he's going to disrupt everything that you want to do.
Yeah, Sartorius could have been a great disruptor in these team fights. Sadly, the game kind of propelled downwards.
Not all what he wanted to get. Edge Knight continues to block poke for Reckless. Gold lead remains at about 5,000, and now, Crepo, it's your favorite time of the game. At least I know it's Deficio's. We're going to talk about Baron and Baron Bates.
Baron setup. I love the Deficio's cast where he was getting the audience to cheer for mid lane pushes. Because mid lane pushes, they're important. Control wards are too. So there's a couple ones set up right here. Just, why are we going back in the past? It's the future that matters. Not disengage right here. Like Hiva, his max range E just nips caps in the feet and then it's over. But then Fnatic, why are they staying around? Why are they going for the re-engage? Like they don't have the tools. Brox is not even here. So essentially they're fighting a 4v4 with no
Brox doesn't
ultis.
even have health.
Yeah, this is just... it's kind of cockiness. It happens when you're rolling over a team. You just expect to win every fight, but even with a gold advantage, you still need your ultimates.
Have to play a little bit safer in the future. Once again, having a lead is everything against the lethality team comp. But OG are going to get the Scuttle Crab. That's going to make it nigh impossible for Fnatic to do the Baron unnoticed.
There's one counterplay. It's the sexy Baron from behind, where Scuttle Crab actually helps you. If you use the Blast Cone to go into the pit as 4, you can rush Baron from behind, but hang on.
They get the opportunity to just take it the old-fashioned way if they can burn down Hiva. Not going to get an opportunity, though, because Wisdom flanks on the side. No TP up for... Yes, TP up for Sartorius. He might be able to look for the flank.
And Fnatic, whenever they do this, they clump pretty hard, so they're very prone to flanks, so you need to be careful. Just like Hiva. Hivani, can we call him that?
Oh no, everything's just landing. They keep hitting it all. Fnatic. Wisdom does manage to make it out. Fnatic now sieging this down. OG do not have the health to stay, but Nahun is unconcerned. Now moving forward, depth charge gonna go in, only gonna hit the Nidalee. He wants a fight. He can take one. Nahun maybe looking to get Broxa as well. Broxa running for his life, flashes to safety. Tabs is gonna grab one. He might be able to grab 2. He gets it. Where's the arrow at? The charge up, the shot. Leap back from Jesus to safety, but OG take the fight.
And when is Fnatic gonna learn that they can't fight Origen without their ultimates? This is like the first instant was excusable. The second one may be, but now the third time.
What?
Yeah, they're thinking about Baron. They're thinking about throwing at Baron right now. So it's definitely not worth going there. But like, why is Fnatic still making this mistake? The mark of a great team is not that you know everything, is that you can adapt on the fly. Now Origen obviously lack any semblance of shot calling. They're like, can we Baron? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, no, let's do it anyways.
No. Origen,
And
this is not what you want to do.
They're going for the burst here. He's even enchanting his own plants with the ultimate. This may be another classic Origen Baron throw.
Jhin, where's the damage going to come from? Hiva's in trouble. Origen, can they get it? No one is here from Fnatic.
Wisdom's dead, by the way.
I think they're going to take it, Fnatic. They can't do it. They can't stop him. OG, get the Baron.
Because they didn't commit, just run in, disrupt them. Justice's health pool should never be higher than Baron's in this situation. Just go die, take autos so Baron hits the other people.
Tabs taking an alternative route out of this.
The scenic route of Summer's Rift. Here on the left, we see a beautiful brush.
Oh, there's a curtain call. Bullets. Jesus, maybe in trouble. No.
Hey, fine.
Barbecue Varus.
Why are we clapping for this?
Crepo, when we watch games like this, where there's a lot of, I'll call it risky moves, back and forth.
But I like the decisiveness of Origen to pull the trigger, even despite losing Hiva. Because again, so they use a lot of tools here. You see, Nahun was the main turret during this fight. So they engage, they don't get Wisdom. Immediate call here should be to disengage. Jesus walks up again very far, takes a lot of damage, gets hooked in, but he's essentially peeling for nothing. Sartorius is the one being focused. He drops eventually, but there's so much time wasted. If Tabs even hits that arrow, he could clean up like more people. So again, if this goes a little bit better for Origen, they actually get the Baron in a very clean fashion.
Was not clean in the end, but they still managed to get it. Tabs gives up his buff, but the rest of the team enchanted and now looking to get something back. They're at a 4K gold deficit, but if they can break these towers, they can swing this back very quickly.
Yeah, and they swing a lot in power as well. 3 Edge of Knights finished right now.
3 Edge of Knights, 3 Hex Drinkers as well. The magic damage focus coming in from Fnatic may start to cost them as we move into this mid game.
Yeah, we saw Sartorius get tanky as well. So overall, this lead, it's massive for Fnatic, but we need to look at the weaknesses of their composition. They have no tank. They're fully centered around kind of poke and siege, but they have time and time again found themselves in situations where they get hard engaged on. So this gold lead doesn't mean everything. This game actually turned on its head right now.
Have to be careful. He even needs to stop taking so much damage.
Yeah, Fnatic got the Scuttle Crab right there with the proc from the Runic Echoes.
Hiva.
Bulldog knows. He's like, okay, guys, it's not the cleanest game. We were supposed to lose this game, but we have a shot. So he's...
Have a shot. You take the shot. Oh, this is the underdog story we've been waiting for. OG, bring it back.
Bring it back, OG. I would love to see them win here. Because it also teaches Fnatic hopefully a lesson that like you still need to respect your opponent.
Well, and the thing is now that the gold lead is starting to even out, this poke comp is coming into its own, and you can't approach the Zyra. You can't approach the Nautilus.
No, they have really good disengagement. I think Origen have a much better draft actually than Fnatic, or at least even. So, because I love what they've put together. They have a really strong jungle in Graves. They have peel disengage that is easy to execute, but also easy to read. Because that is something you need to kind of think about as well. When you're a team with poor communication, how easy is it for me to see what my teammates are doing? When I play with a Nautilus, it is very easy to see what he's doing. He throws off the most massive anchor in the face of an opponent, and then his ultimate can't get more obvious. So that makes it very easy for the remaining members to follow up.
The only more obvious champion is probably Gnar, who has literally a giant red bar to tell you when it is time to fight a team fight.
But like, do you know if he's gonna hop once, twice?
Okay, fine. Nautilus, very obvious. But this is really good from OG. And once again, pulling the trigger in these situations is something we haven't seen a lot of bottom teams do.
Yeah.
A lot of bottom teams just accept bleeding out. They don't want to take the 70-30 risks. They don't want to risk falling further behind, but with their doom to fall behind
Vitality
anyway.
would be hiding in their base right now, so I actually like that Origen's fighting back.
You can see Broxton maybe hoping to clear away from the top side, but Nahim's just going to grab this tower.
Potential rotation mid possible here now for Origen, because there's two members here in the top lane for Fnatic. And again, we talked about it. Broxton can only assist in sieges. He can't actually gank because there's no CC, and the setup is quite hard to nail. So the only combo Fnatic really have is this Equalizer into Deadly Flourish, into Cap's QE follow-up. But Origen, they've now started playing around it a bit more, so it's a lot more difficult for Fnatic to really find these openings.
Overall, pretty frustrating to play against, it looks like, on the side of Fnatic, because while Broxa had decent control in the early game, it's just not amounting to anything now.
Yes, but Reckless has the 3 items. He has the Lethality core finished. He has 50 Lethality right now in the mid game. He's essentially dealing true damage to some of these targets, or close to at least.
Yeah, we look at it, we see Hiva checking on him, 55 armor, only 5 armor remaining. Curtain Call comes out. Not going to amount to a whole lot. Redemption coming in to heal the members of Fnatic. OG not going to pull the trigger this time around. No Nautilus to back them up.
Yeah, look at the side lanes. How good is OG's macro right now? Because this bottom lane, side lane could use some pushing. Again, it's pressure, it just helps you. Wisdom going for aggressive siege here. It looks like Origen is really content playing ARAM.
Backing up, Wisdom potentially in trouble, does get locked up. This could be bad for him. Knock up, not going to connect. Yes, it is. Wide skill shot goes in. Over the wall goes Soaz. He's going to use the Zhonya's. This could be a good fight for Fnatic. Ult comes out from Satorius. OG, what are they going to do? It looks like they're going to go in. Now pulling back. Caps looking for the CC. Continues to come out. No one's dropping yet, and the poke returning back. Caps goes low.
Yeah, but it's his 2 skill shots that could have done massive damage here. The Enchanted Crystal arrow from Tabs. Or the Varus arrow, actually. Different arrow, same stuff. What's it called? Piercing arrow.
Chain of corruption.
No, not the chain of corruption.
No, you want the piercing arrow. The Q?
The Q.
I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about ults.
No. The piercing arrow went wide, and then the shock blast went straight through 4 people. So like, if both those abilities connect, Fnatic is actually on half HP in their entire roster.
And a huge risk to take the fight. No one drops in the end. Every health bar is so low.
There's a fine line between courage and stupidity. I think Wisdom was walking on both edges in that fight.
He's brave.
He definitely was brave.
Real brave, Crepo.
Like, imagine if you get behind early, you come back in a spectacular fashion, your team has yet to win a single game in the LCS, and you start running ahead of your creeps blind and relying on a Graves E to dodge combos, then you are brave. Or, you know.
What I've learned about solo queue is that I'm very brave.
Oh, yeah.
I am so brave. Thank you, Crepo. You should give inspirational speeches.
Bending the truth. Calling yourself brave in solo queue is kind of the equivalent of a participation trophy. I'm helping.
Yeah.
All right, now we see the bot lane push. Back to the macro. We asked how good is OG's macro. They actually slow push bot lane right now.
Top wave starting to look like to push for them as well. They have another wave crashing in. May start to push back. Hiva caught out again. He's going to get locked up. He's going to get taken down. And we talked about every member of OG not being able to make it through the early game. And unfortunately, this looks like it's Hiva's game.
Yeah. But But sometimes you need to respect a player that can absorb pressure and absorb cooldowns. Hiva just robbed Fnatic of the equalizer. Straight up, he just took it from them.
This is mine, said Hiva.
Your
All
equalizer?
for me.
My equalizer.
Satorius snared up. Depth charge goes in onto Broxa once again. Redemption's coming down. Reckless is low on the backside. Tabs playing very far back. Doesn't want to risk getting ulted by Caps.
And whenever Jesus is tanking up the enemy team and Fnatic no longer have the equalizer, I'm actually not, like, I was joking a little bit, but I'm not joking as much right now. They walk backwards. Hang on, Wisdom right now.
Has to be careful. He
has
only can
E.
block one orb from the ult.
Be brave.
Wisdom dashes backwards. Nation's there. Nice
So brave.
acceleration gate. Oh, spear.
But yeah, so once the equalizer is down, every time Jesus walks up, he puts up a shield, he's peeling, he's essentially tanking 4 members. Everybody on Fnatic is clicking behind their champion, running away. Like, they're disengaging, they're leaving him to die. So either he's going in too early, or the team is not using the time that he's creating for them.
And maybe it's been a while since we've seen Braum in the meta. Maybe not used to playing around this pick, but the Unbreakable is a game-defining ability,
Yeah.
and it's, I think, being underutilized or not being respected.
And Braum used to be so strong, especially with a tank in the top lane. If you have a Maokai jump in and you can latch onto him with Braum, or you have a disruptor like Nautilus into the backline, you can solo peel for your AD carry because you destroy projectiles.
Well,
the problem is he's getting left on an island right now.
Yeah, and when we think about his late game value, when you block a single 80 carry out of a fight, you think about that, if we go further into this game, that's 30k gold taken out of the fight immediately. And not really something that I think Fnatic can afford to give up, especially after conceding early bot lane, in theory, to get this pick.
Yeah, definitely. So we need to see kind of Origin now that they fall back into the game, clawed back into only 2,000 gold difference, and we talk about the strengths of the comps, which is actually almost in their advantage. Can they take control of the map? Can they start warding, putting the control wards down?
Well, despite the gold being relatively even, they have not made moves to take the comps or take the map back quite yet. They are going to look to take the dragon. They will be spotted out. Fnatic not going to take an opening to run to Baron, and that's the second cloud for OG.
Yeah, because there's still a Scuttle Crab and a control ward, and Fnatic actually, they have a very hard time playing on multiple lanes at once. Ideally, you want Soa's bot lane, but that is the kind of the main setup for this long-range combo, and I think they might actually go for kind of a panicky attempt on Baron because they're losing grasp of this game.
It is getting burned down very quickly. They don't have Mountain Drakes to back them up, but they have 3 major damage threats. 4 if Soaz wants to get there. He's trying to block it out. Wisdom is ready to go over the wall.
But they're playing versus double poke, and they're getting low in the pit.
Oh, curtain call. They have to be safe. It may be OG who has to be afraid of the poke. Trying to dodge the last shot. Is going to sidestep it, but Baron continues to go low. Broxa gets it. OG, can they keep the fight going? Arrows coming out from Tabs. Hiva looking for a way to get in the front line. Not enough.
Questionable call here. Should Satorius have teleported sooner? And can Origin clean up, or does Fnatic get away with murder?
So many low health bars, but the Edge Knight might keep them healthy. Caps has to respect the engage. Collateral damage has been used, so as maybe the sacrificial lamb here will get cut down. They get one back in return on Hiva. Wisdom running forward, the fight continues.
They're trapped in a corner right here. Origin cornering in, so the weak flank gets engaged on. Wisdom needs to survive.
Dash back, Maw gonna keep him safe. Broxa wants to go forward, it's not quite enough damage. That's good for them. Fnatic
What's this
trying to get
packing from
something.
Origin?
Walking too far around, this is disaster. Oh, the arrow comes out, chains of corruption are not enough. What is... Tabs, Nahun backing off, all of the damage drops onto the Nautilus and they're nowhere to be seen. This is OG falling apart at the hands of Fnatic.
Advantageous flank. You had the Graves covering the top side. You could maybe split up 2 and 1 and then have somebody support Wisdom at least. They all take the inefficient route, actually enabling Fnatic's escape. Really good composure from Fnatic. They had to go for the play, but you want to wonder what happens when Satorius actually teleports in instead of walking all the way to Nashor. What happens when they kind of clean up well there? Origen had so much room to punish, didn't take it.
And they were even. They were even until that moment. And they didn't fight to stay even. They didn't burn the TP. They weren't willing to waste everything to stay even, to find an advantage. And because they didn't commit in that instant, they threw it all away. Something we praised them for when they went for that insanely aggressive Baron attempt.
Yeah, so watch this again. So Fnatic, they know they're losing the map. They know they can't go for like kind of an open map situation. So they're putting Soaz on peel duty. They have the redemption to make up for the damage they take from Baron. And then the poke connects. Look how low they're dropping. If any Shock Blast and Q goes in, imagine if Satorius was here any sooner, or that single anchor connects, right? That's a kill over there, and then they can clean up. Fnatic, they path downwards because of Wisdom doing such a great job hurting the cattle. So keep your eyes on Wisdom, and then imagine what he's expecting from his team. He's expecting Satorius to keep walking up now, and then Nahun and Tabs can just fire shots. They can keep poking. They never need to walk up, so they don't care if Fnatic would walk towards them. This is a main pathing mistake from
Oh
Astorius.
no, and it's just gonna rinse and repeat. OG are falling apart. Force shot connects. Nahyun slowly burning, but not going to drop. This,
Now it's over.
nothing left for OG. They had a shot to get back in the game. Things are falling apart. Sartorius is quick to fall. It's just nothing left.
I can't stress this enough. If Sartorius walked up in that fight, helped his jungler zone, and then allowed his poke to land, Origen could have been in this game.
Could have been the shot, one win to start the chains of perception, to start looking for more in the future. But Fnatic, one or two mistakes, they're going to clean it up in the end. They make an aggressive Baron attempt of their own, and they get the fights to follow up. They make it look all too easy past the 35-minute mark. All comes out for the Vars, but man, it is simply not enough. Tower's going to fall. Nexus should be quick to follow. Fnatic looking quick to finish it, but don't look too happy about that win.
Oh, they know. The fans are still behind them. They're obviously happy here with a Fnatic victory, and it was a great start. But again, if you see some of the limitations of this draft and how hard it was for Fnatic to execute, because if it wasn't for that massive bot lane kind of error, Origen had a very easily executable comp in the mid game, and Fnatic, they're playing with a very tough comp to play because you only have one engage and then you need to go for full reset until Equalizer is back again.
And we've seen so many teams fall apart when they try to run this comp. Splice tried to run it against Fnatic, and it did not work out because they could not kill the necessary members, and they had to fight the following fights. Fnatic take it, it's aggressive, left themselves open to so many risks, but do outplay their opponents in the end. And that's really, I don't feel like they, like it came down to anything more than just being, I think, better players, because they made so many mistakes.
They had better calls too. So like the Baron call was necessary because it looked very risky, but it is with knowledge in mind of what was going to happen on the map if they didn't go for that play. So I definitely respect the Baron call for Fnatic there. I respect the setup as well. Having Soaz as a slow down peel champion, he could worst case throw himself forward and then really thwart off the pressure and keep Origen away. But still, like to have it get to that point after such a massive lead in the early game is still an error from Fnatic.
And it's interesting too, because I wonder how different this game would have been if Origen had not made those mistakes in the early bottom lane. What would the mid game have looked like? But we're going to have to find out, see how that changes as we come into game 2. For now, let's take a look at game 1 over on the analyst desk, where they're going to break it down.
Thank you, Drakus, and I think that is a fantastic point. If you see how much Fnatic struggled in the late game with getting ahead early, I can't even imagine what it would have been like if they didn't get that lead, because honestly, that was bad.
That was a frustrating game to watch.
Yeah.
From both teams, almost every lane you're watching, and there's just so many back and forth moments where you're like, okay, this is what you're going to do next. And it just doesn't go the way that it should do. And honestly, one of the sections that we wanted to look at first was the bot lane. Not the first blood, but the dive that comes down. Because, Syncix, you were talking about how this needs to be defended way earlier than Caps even roaming.
Yeah, I mean, like when they roam, they take the plant, it's already too late. Like there's no way out of it from Hiva and Tap, so they're just gonna die because they're already behind. I think the only summon they had was Siren Flash. So it's like, if you want to defend it as Origen, you really need to see it before they go push mid and go bot, because by then it's already too late. And the game should honestly just have snowballed from here, but yeah, it got a bit more interesting.
It should have done. And so much from the mid lane, from Nakin going down in CS early on, to bot lane, Hiva
Died 10
having
times this game?
a pretty bad game.
Yeah,
like
that's
0 and
absolutely
10.
horrible. And it also meant that Reckless was 3-0 after a couple of minutes, especially at the 15-minute mark. So Fnatic were absolutely set up for success. We also saw Broxa. We asked the question in the beginning of the day, you know, we've only ever seen him pop off of Lee Sin. I like that Fnatic, they took the chance themselves to put him on a different champion in Italy, but it is kind of the same type of jungler, though. It's not like a drastic departure, or is that wrong?
I would say Nidalee is fairly different. Like Lee Sin is more heavy ganking style, I would say, and Nidalee is more outpacing, as my jungler likes to say.
Okay.
And mainly just run around and take enemy CS and get ahead of enemy jungler instead of getting your lanes ahead. But I think Nidalee in the current meta, I don't know. I don't really like it personally that much, because I think if you really don't snowball the game late in the game, like even against Graves, that should be a decent matchup, you will just get outskilled so hard. And that's why I think this game should actually kind of been in Origen's favor after they lose that Baron.
Exactly, and it's losing the Baron that turns it around. Theoretically, this game snowballs so quickly, and Fnatic just put it away. But then we had the mid lane fight. We had a couple of fights that went against Fnatic and let Origen right back into a game that should have been over already. This was one of the ones that was set up. And again, Fnatic trying to fight without a lot of their ultimates, the key abilities
Well, they start
available.
by doing well, right? They kill
I mean,
Hiva.
this happens every fight in the game, I think, where Hiva gets caught, and then after that, it's pretty much the rest of Origen fighting. But right here, like, Fnatic overcommits a bit for the tower where they should just have based, and Sartorius gets a hook on Jesus, I think, and he's kind of on the tower, and Nahum will just clean up with tabs and poke them out of the game, or out of the fight, and then they can get free Baron afterwards.
And you could see that Reckless was looking for the kill behind the tower. Now Tabs has just this freedom to go forward because there's no damage left anymore. Like, Reckless was trying to get the kills, and you can see what Fnatic are trying to do. It just looks like they're saying to each other, hey, we've won, let's go behind a tower, let's dive this, let's just clean them up, and we'll just kind of win the game. But
Goal difference over time, though.
yeah.
I mean, in general, I think, like, this game should have been really over, but the one overstay that it did in mid, like, really slowed it down, and that's where I think versus a really good team that they should have, like, outscaled the enemy, and they should have won the game from there, but I think Origen just didn't really do anything, and then they lost Baron for free pretty much, where as always someone was doing a crap instead of walking up to Nashor, and then the game is just in Fnatic's hand again.
Is this the same Fnatic that you guys played against? Because you almost lost to Fnatic 2 days ago, and it seems to me that they were a bit better in that series.
No, I think it's pretty similar. Like, it's
Okay.
just their early game is really good, but I still think they made questionable decisions made in the late game. This game, it was one simple greed at tower where they should just have base because it didn't work out for them, and then like when you use all your stuff, sometimes it can be really frustrating because you didn't get anything. But sometimes you just need to see, okay, we failed, and we just need to go out of this, and then go back and reset and try and get pressure on the map again.
So maybe we are looking this from a bit too negative side, because we go, you know, we think Fnatic's stronger, so they should have cleaned it out because they had an early game lead. So would, excuse me, should we maybe look at it from the side of, hey, no, this is still the team that was developing, so these are also games that they naturally can struggle in, or is that then too kind?
Well, there are positives to this. Like, Crepo going into the game, one of his opening lines was, if the bot lane goes even with a melee support, that's a win for Fnatic. Bot lane didn't go even. Fnatic crushed bot lane. They demolished Origen. There was no chance for Origen after the first couple of kills on Hiva. So that is a major strength in this series for Fnatic. They can easily handle the lanes by the looks of it.
Yep.
It just is some of the execution on the group plays that Fnatic overstepped on. So I think that's the positive, is individually they just outperform basically on every single position.
They did. So let's hope for them that they can take a lesson from this and clean it up in Game 2. We will also see if Origen can maybe fight back in Game 2 over Fnatic. We'll get into those picks and bans after the break.
Is gonna grab it. Tabs, he's all on his lonesome. Jesus is gonna tank. Oh no, that's dirty. Fnatic grab another one.
Soaz shows up all the way.
Soaz hungry for blood. Exhaust comes out. Nahum potentially in trouble. Spear goes in. Deathfire touch. Oh, equalizer. That'll burn him down. I'm just gonna grab one. He might be able to grab two. He gets it. Where's the arrow at? The charge of the shot. Lead back from Jesus to safety, but OG take the fight. Dash back. Maw gonna keep it safe. Broxton wants to go forward. It's not quite enough damage. That's good for them. Fnatic
this
trying to get something.
Origen?
Walking too far around. This is disaster.